Hey, this is Matt. Once again, welcome back to another video. This is another paid request, this time for David. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, topics, reactions, commentaries, reviews, re-reviews, what have you, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. Could be for pretty much any type of video. Now, this is for the 1986 film Out of Bounds. And this is a film I had heard of a long time ago. I think my friend Efrey had mentioned this to me a long time ago, and he's like, you know what, man, I wonder, if you ever see this film, how would you feel about it? Because it's Anthony Michael Hall from The Breakfast Club, 16 Candles, Weird Science, films I like. National Lampoon's Vacation, the first one, would go on to be on the TV show The Dead Zone, which I did like that show. This was his kind of first attempt at serious stuff. And I think it was like right after Weird Science. And at this time, Anthony Michael Hall, he was actually close to doing Full Metal Jacket. But he's like, nah, I want more money, I want more this, I want more that. And just totally screwed that up. Because and it was for the Matthew Modine lead role. And I think Anthony Michael Hall would have... I think he could have done a good job based on what I've seen in the Dead Zone TV show. And with Stanley Tuber directing, would have been a much better... Full Metal Jacket is a much better movie than this movie. But the reason Efrey mentioned to me is because Anthony Michael Hall's character is from Iowa. And I was born in Iowa. And the long story short is he's an Iowa kid that goes to LA, and when he gets to LA, he picks up a bag, finds out too late that the bag is the wrong bag, it's not his stuff, it's drugs, and the people looking for that bag have killed his brother, his brother's wife, and he's now framed for the deaths of his brother and the brother's wife. So he's a fish out of water, doesn't know the city, doesn't know what to do. So he meets up with this waitress who he met on a plane for like 5 minutes, played by Jenny Wright. I think she was in Near Dark. I think that's the lady from Near Dark. Who immediately helps him, even though she knows nothing about him. And they try to figure out what to do next. And the villain is played by Jeff Kober, who I liked. Especially in The First Power, Lou Diamond Phillips. Good actor. He's done a lot of other stuff too, but I always remember him as in The First Power. See you around, buddy boy. But I thought this film sucked. I thought this film outright sucked. It was really boring. Really fucking boring. It's one of those things where I could see the potential with how Anthony Michael Hall has done these type of characters in the past, of being the guy who may be awkward or not part of the crowd, like in The Breakfast Club, and to showcase a guy that's truly out of his element. Kind of like if you took... what's that movie? After Hours. Like, take the guy in After Hours, which is a much better movie than this. The actor who was in American Wolf in London, I forget his name. He was the main guy, but he was the buddy who died and then came back as this rotting corpse. Griffin Dunn, I believe his name. I could be wrong on that. Like, when he was in The Risses, he felt like he was out of place and he didn't know what to do, and he was confused, he was agitated, he was befuddled. You felt sorry for him. This is, I would say, Anthony Michael Hall's worst performance I've ever seen him do. Because the whole movie is, he's talking in a whisper. He's talking like this. Yeah, okay. And I understand now when I read an interview with the director, and the director said that he wanted Anthony Michael Hall to be similar to what he was back in those previous movies. But Anthony Michael Hall says, no, I want to play this like Clint Eastwood. Anthony Michael Hall is no Clint Eastwood. And when you watch this and you see like the type he's doing the whisper, and he's doing that whispering thing as if he's a tough guy. Whether it be in Iowa and he's throwing the knife, which I was in Iowa, no one fucking threw knives like that in Iowa. Maybe because it was a different part of Iowa, and I know there was a lot of corn in Iowa, but I don't know anybody throwing fucking knives and, you know, having stick in the wood like that. And they do a build-up where we have to make it clear as to why he can't find help. So his mom and dad are having trouble with marriage. His mom wants to sell the farm. His dad doesn't want that to happen. The dad's going to go away for a while, fishing or whatever. The mom is going to be somewhere. And just some of the stuff this character does off the bat makes me go, man, you give Iowa a bad name, dude. Like, he's right here with the pin, a fucking pin, and she's like, I want to give you the number where you can reach me. And she says clearly the numbers, and he writes the wrong fucking numbers down. She said as clear as day, she was not doing Morse code or sign language. He was fucking number clear as day, and he clearly got the fucking numbers wrong. Because we need to find a way for him not to be able to call for help. His dad's gone fishing, and his mom gave him the right numbers, and he was an idiot to write them wrong. And then when he gets in, and he's got one bag. Now, I don't know about you, but in an airport, I immediately check my bag to make sure nothing's broken, because there's a lot of banging and shit in there. Also, I would know about how much it was weighing, because with the stuff he has and the stuff that's in there, I think they would weigh two different fucking things. Plus, how convenient that it's like the same looking red bag. Like the same look. It's not like a generic looking bag. It's like a red knapsack. Like, I've never seen a bag like that before, but thankfully at this point, there were two exact duplicates of that. It wasn't like just a typical looking boring suitcase. It was just the specific, like, it's a specific color and look, but there were two of the same. By the way, I know this is 1986 and airports are more strict now, but were airports that lenient in 1986 that you could just put a bunch of fucking drug packs in a bag and let it go through fine as day? And that's something that happened a lot in LA. Anyone who lived in LA in the 80s, if you ran drugs in the 80s, could you just put them in a sack and just put them on the plane and go through the conveyor belts? And even back then, didn't they have some kind of x-ray machine or something? I mean, imagine if there was a bomb, or I don't know, a fork, a sharp stick, I don't know. Sorry about that edit. I accidentally hit something. Maybe just a discombobulation of just this plot, man. This plot, this setup is so janky and so this and this and this and this and this has to happen for this one moment to occur. So you have to make sure he's cut off because he doesn't know how to write down a damn phone number. Airports have to be so shitty that you could just have a bag of drugs go on the conveyor belt to and fro perfectly fine. That wasn't checked at all. Then the bags have to be the same unique color, size, and feel of it. Then your lead doesn't notice that there's a bit of a weight difference. This is a lot heavier. This is a lot lighter. Then when he comes to his destination, he has to look in the bag and go, let me grab some stuff. Let me grab some deodorant. Let me grab something in there. One thing out of that bag. No. Waits till the next morning. Waits till the next morning and finds the brother dead and brother's wife dead. And there's this guy who's a septic tank guy. He's like, oh, your septic is blah, blah, blah. Who is that guy? Because I thought, oh, is that the killer? But no, later on, there's cops who find fingerprints, and the fingerprints show that Jeff Kober is the killer. And then even Jeff Kober says, I wonder if you'll be braver than your brother. As in, he was the one who did it. So I'm like, who the hell was this septic guy who just came into the house? Was he not invited in? He just barged into the house? Can they do that? Even if you don't let it open? And then Anthony Michael Hall shot him. I think there was word of dialogue that he wounded the guy. But then still Anthony Michael Hall shot an innocent guy? You say out of fear? That's why I'm like, what is going on? Like, I thought, like, okay, that's one of the killers. But it's like, oh, no, it wasn't? And the whole time I'm watching Anthony Michael Hall's performance in this whisper, such a lack of personality he gives in this. Because he's trying to play it cool. Quiet cool. Try to play it cool. Try to whisper. Does it whisper? It means it's badass. If I'm whispering, it's badass. It's badass noise. Imagine if I do the whole review as a whisper. And you can't hear me. You can't hear what I'm saying. But I'm whispering. I'm whispering because it's so much cooler. I mean, Clint Eastwood knows how to do that, but Anthony Michael Hall doesn't quite know how to do that at this age and this time of his career and his life. And then from what I've read up, he was a complete dick on this movie, where people were calling him Anthony Moron Hall instead of Anthony Michael Hall, and like he really is a brat with the mantra, the Brat Pack. He's definitely a brat. So the crew did not like Anthony Michael Hall. The director had a hard time directing on him. There was a line where he wanted to explain him and think in these terms, and then Anthony Michael Hall is, I think in terms of colors. So just being a power-hungry, like, egotistical party guy douche. And sadly, I've heard that hasn't really changed, so, which is too bad, because I liked him as an actor, but from all I hear, he's not a really good guy in real life, which is too bad. But he gets like, it almost looks like he frames himself accidentally. And there's a few action beats. There's a bit with a motorcycle where he commandeers a motorcycle and tells the guy to drive him around. There's a few attempts that the cops try to get him. But nothing really that noteworthy compared to a lot of movies in this time and age of the 80s. Like I said, he goes find Jenny Wright because he met her on a plane for 5 minutes, and she's a waitress. And literally he goes up to her and says, listen, it's a matter of life and death. This is a total stranger. Within a minute, she quits her job, goes on with him, and decides to help him even though she knows nothing about him, who he is, what he was accused of, and goes along with it fairly easily. And even like The Hitcher with C. Thomas Howell and Jennifer Jason Leigh didn't do that. Like, she's listening to him, but she's unsure, and it's only until when the cops look like they're ready to shoot him, when he's unarmed, then she stops a bit. He's like, wait a minute, I know what you're trying to do, stop that. This, like, just for no reason, she decides to help him. That's when the movie even slows down more, because it's just, oh, you got this bag of drugs, we gotta get the word around, I gotta tell this and this person so the word will get around to whoever is looking for this bag. Let's dye your hair and make you cool. But the thing is, there's no change when he's being cooler. And that's the problem with his performance. This seems like a type of movie that you're supposed to see some kind of transformation between naive, innocent, off-the-farm boy to a cooler, more dangerous, more hard-edged, more comfortable in his own skin, braver man. But you never see this transformation. He's playing the same one-note whisper performance with a lack of charisma that he showed charisma in his previous films. I saw charisma in Weird Science and The Breakfast Club. None of that here. Because he thought he was going to be a cool Clint Eastwood type. And let me play it all the way through, and it didn't work. Because the cooler version isn't much different than the version you are at the beginning. There's a few setups that go wrong. There's some dirty DEA agents. At one point, Jeff Kober has Jenny Wright. And somehow she gets free. And I don't remember how the hell that happened. Because I swear he had Jenny Wright as a hostage. And you know Jeff Kober's character is the type of guy that's willing to kill. But then for some reason he let her go, or I still don't understand how the hell that happened. Stuart Copeland does the score. And again, if you want to see a Jeff Kober film with a Stuart Copeland score, again, go watch The First Power. The score here has its moments, but I mean, nothing magnificent either. Same with the songs. Nothing that really shines home in terms of the songs or soundtrack. One of the dirty DEA agents works with Anthony Michael Hall, and they go to this plane that Jeff Kober was ready to take off in, and Meatloaf, may he rest in peace, the singer, who was also in movies like Black Dog with Patrick Swayze, he's in the film as this pilot. Nothing wrong. Anybody could have played it. He has like 2 or 3 scenes. They blow up the plane, but if I want to see that, I'll go watch a Clint Eastwood film called The Rookie, where Clint Eastwood and Charlie Sheen would have worked better in this role. I really do think that. Charlie Sheen seems like he would have been a better fit in this kind of role. Because if he played his role in Iowa, kind of like the beginning of Red Dawn, but then you kind of saw that in a way in The Rookie, where he's a rookie and he's nervous about shooting this girl, and as it goes on, it's time to stop being afraid and make others start. And he grows more of a backbone and more like Charlie Sheen. What he does in The Rookie was a better transformation than what Anthony Michael Hall does here, and a better movie. If you want to have someone sound like Clint Eastwood, just have the actual Clint Eastwood do it. And you want to see 2 people shoot at a plane and the plane blows up. The Rookie did it better a few years later. And that's actually one of my favorite Eastwood films, The Rookie. I think it's one of his more underrated ones. Down, 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 down. The one scene that worked alright was one of the last scenes, spoiler alert, where there's a bit with Anthony Michael Hall and Jeff Kober, and there's a gun, and Jeff Kober's like, go ahead, get it. See if you're to use it better than your brother. And the way the music is rising in tension, that's where Stuart Copeland did a nice job with the score, and this back and forth of showing Anthony Michael Hall, showing Jeff Kober, showing the gun, but then we see that knife in the beginning. Anthony Michael Hall gets out, going back and forth, the tension, the music's rising, and all of a sudden, a knife, and Jeff Kober dies. that's really the only somewhat effective scene in this movie. Gets with Jenny Wright, they go off, and then the movie's over. So yeah, the movie I don't think is... It's very boring. Jeff Kober always does a great job as a villain. He's a good character actor. Yeah, it was interesting to see Anthony Michael Hall do something different, but he does that a lot better in the Dead Zone TV show, I will say. This, I would say, is one of his weakest roles. He's very whispery. He has no charisma in this. He's the same, like, whisper. That was the wrong choice, and doesn't seem like that was the director's choice. It seemed like that was Anthony Michael Hall's choice, because he had all these films. Again, when you're saying no and fighting with Stanley Kubrick when he's offering you a role in his movie, when you fuck up that deal, and then you're saying stuff like, I talk, or I learn, or I think in colors. It's ego, power trip, maybe drugs, everything in between went way to his fucking head. And this film bombed, and it deserved to fucking bomb. Stupid and just incomprehensible of how this all began at the beginning, like I mentioned before. Not a lot of excitement throughout. There's a big chunk in the middle that they just, again, the two are just kind of wandering around the city with not really much happening. If you're a diehard Jeff Kober fan, or you need to see any Anthony Michael Hall movie, Out of Bounds sucked. So with that said, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.